it is. After over 8 years of work, this is the Backyard Baja Bug. Myself and Alex worked on this since he was 12 years old. So as it's not completely done, as I don't think any project from the ground up ever is, it's where we would call it's looking good. So we were really happy to get featured in Hot VWs for their cover of the November 2014 magazine, and it was a real honor for us. And I really believe that this car's got a lot of unique engineering and a lot of heart and soul in it. So I hope everybody that's watching this will enjoy it. So I have two sons. I've got an older son, Kyle, and a younger son, Alex, and they're 4 years apart. My oldest son, I built a Chenoweth sand rail with him, and we were just about ready to finish that up, and my 12-year-old son needed a project. So we found a shell that didn't have a rear tranny or axle or anything like that at a swap meet, and for $700 we brought the thing home, and it was in really good shape as far as body wise. There wasn't a lot of rust, had a pretty good pan on it, and I thought that was a real good place to start. So and with that we started this project. What we were looking for was a good stance. We wanted a Baja Bug that we could drive on the street, something that we could get street legal. I wouldn't say a grocery getter, as the trunk on this thing is definitely not something you'd want to put groceries in, but it'd be something that you could go out for ice cream and have a nice weekend in. But we also wanted something that we could take it out on the track and do a rally, or go out to Glamis or Silver Lake and really have a good time. So that was some of our goals, and we wanted it to really perform correctly, either driving 60 mile an hour down the road, or if you wanted to at 60 mile an hour, just turn the wheel left and run it off the road. So, and with this Baja Bug, you can definitely do that. We had contacted Dan's Performance out in California and got some good recommendations on what to do. So we got a 6-inch wider beam for the front, and the same thing as far as the trailing arms in the rear. We also went with the Fox coilover shocks. That would give us anywhere from 12 to 14 inches of travel on the front and rear. And with that, we had an idea how it was going to look. We combined that with a bus transmission, actually raised everything up so we get a little more ground clearance in the back. We had to make a new shifting arm for alignment. We used a scat shifter on it, and the other thing that we really wanted was some really good brakes on it. So we bought top-of-line Jam R brakes on it, and then put that along with some good hydraulic steering brakes, so you could really cut this thing on a dime. So we got the stance done, we got the trailing arms done. The other things that we were really important to us is that we had a full roll cage. So if we ever did really screw up and roll this thing, we were going to be safe, and it was going to be able to be rebuildable. I didn't want something that once we tweaked it out of line, it was like just time to start over. So what we did is we made, it's kind of like a unibody, to where the roll cage on the inside is one unit. The pan we turned into a part of a roll cage, and then there's a front clip and a rear clip, and it all bolts together. And with that, we had some kind of rebuildability on it. So, and that's one of the things that makes it very unique. The other things that we wanted to incorporate in that frame was that through past builds, we found that the gas pedal and that was always on the floor, and when you go off-roading, it was always full of mud and sand, and it was always in the elements. So we wanted to get that off the floor, mount it upside down, and I took it one step further to where we put it in as part of the frame. So the actual mount, you can unbolt and take that whole assembly out in one piece and do any service that you wanted to, or adjustability. The other challenges that we had was trying to put a fuel cell in it. We wanted something that you could pull up to the gas station and pump like a normal Bug from the passenger side. So, and the only way to really do that was make a custom tank. And part of the nice things about this backyard build is I'm a tool and die maker by trade, so we have some good tools to use. We got a Bridgeport and a lathe and some good Miller MIG and TIG welders. So with that kind of background, it really helped us to try to put this whole thing and this whole project together. So now we got the frame done, the front end, we got it put together. We rebuilt a 1600 to an 1835. We put a Weber progressive on it as we wanted to keep it mild, and it was to the point where we now had to go out and we wanted to see how our engineering was. A lot of things, the front end was pretty much not a bolt-on, but everything was, the geometry was close, so we knew it pretty much would work with what was recommended. Now the rear was a different story because we had to incorporate that to the roll cage from the inside. So my oldest son Kyle, he was studying to be an automotive engineer, and he was one of his real inputs in this car was to try to figure out the angles of the rear shocks and how that was going to work. So once we got all that tweaked and kind of set up, we finished up the inside roll cage, put it together, and now we were to the point where we wanted to go out and we wanted to test the car before we finished it out to make sure that what we thought was right, because at this time we're not builders. This is a backyard Baja build. So now we went out and we tested it out in the fields, we jumped it, we found out that this thing is awesome. The only real problem we have is can't keep the motor running because of the way that the Weber progressive is. It's so cold we keep fouling plugs out. The rear end's a little soft, it doesn't steer really right, but all in all, we're really happy with what we got done. So now it's time to tear it all apart, put it back together, and finish some of the things as far as the interior. One of the things that was very important to my older son was to make a drop dash as far as for all of our switches that we were going to put in, because we didn't have enough dash room, and we wanted that VW look. We wanted that inset aluminum look, and I think we pulled it off. We had to make some special tooling to do it, but we definitely pulled it off. That bottom pan that we use for all the panels inside actually came from GFS. It's a stainless steel simmering tray, but that's the closest thing that we could come up with to do it. So we put that in, welded it on, and sanded it, and it came out pretty doggone good. So once we got that done, welded in there, it was time for paint. Well, for paint, we figured that we better get it stripped down, and everybody we talked to said the only way to do it right was you had to strip all the paint off. So after 7 to 12 different coats of paint that was on this Bug, we finally got down to bare metal, sanded it up, and Alex really got an appreciation of how many hours it takes to actually paint something correctly. So we got it all painted up. We used a PPG Viper Red, and it worked really well, and the guys down at ColorFast definitely know their stuff. So once that was done, then it was time for the interior. So we got the interior done. Gary's Automotive out of Yorkville really helped us out on that. And a lot of the little things that we think are special is the way that the shock reserve mounts billet to the roll cage. The headlights are part of the frame, and they're stationary. They're not part of the fenders. The way that the front nose cone, the way we cut that and fit that in there, and so I mean we really tried to make this thing as clean as possible. We weren't aiming for a SEMA car because we didn't have the pocketbook for that, but we definitely wanted it as best as we could do with the tools that were given to us. So all in all, you know, we got the interior done. One other thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to put some fiber optic lighting. One of the things that we saw was how cool it looks in some of the newer cars like the Mustang and that, where you could change colors of your interior and give that accent. So Gary helped us put that throughout the interior, and that really worked out well. So all in all, we were really happy with the looks of the Bug, but we still had this problem with the motor. We couldn't get it to run right with that progressive, and Adam over at Seward Speed Shop really helped us out. What we finally ended up doing was we used oil from the engine and we put it into the manifold. So we've got a reserve pump that's coming out to a filter, and then it comes in through the manifold and heats up that manifold from the oil, and it does a great job. I mean, it just runs like a top now. So so now that the motor runs right and it looks right, and I think we're getting pretty close to what I would call fun in the sun.